Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be back with you. You may wonder why I am wearing this Notre Dame t shirt. Well, indeed, they did beat Clemson last week, the number one team in the nation. But there's another reason why I am wearing this t shirt this morning. And I want to tell you really a wonderful story that's behind it. About, maybe 4 weeks ago, I was going for a walk in Genesee Valley Park, just getting some exercise. And I passed a picnic table. There were some people sitting there. And a woman looked at the shirt I was wearing. This was the shirt I was wearing. And she said, "Nice shirt you've got on." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Are you a alumna of Notre Dame?" And she said, "No. But my father went there, and my grandfather went there." And she said, my grandfather has an amazing story. So I said, "Well, tell me." And so she began to tell me the story of her grandfather, a man by the name of Francis Wallace, who went by Frank Wallace. So Frank Wallace was one of, I'm not sure, maybe he had 6 or 7 brothers and sisters. The beginning of World War I, he enlisted and became a Navy aviator. When the war was finished, he came home, and his brothers and sisters all got together, and they decided that Frank, of all of them, had the most potential in terms of education, and so they pooled their money so that Frank could go to college. Now, that in itself is quite a remarkable story. They pooled their money so he could go to college. He was living in a small town in the Midwest at that point, and so he decided to go to Notre Dame. So he went. And I'm not sure what was happening, but in the first couple of weeks on campus, it was not a very good experience for Frank. As I say, I'm not sure what was going on, but it wasn't working out. One day, he walked into South Bend and purchased something and started walking back home. On his way home, a car stopped. Driver said, "You want to ride back to the campus?" Frank said, "Sure." So he got into the car. When he got into the car, he realized the driver of the car who had invited him to a ride was Newt Rockne. Now, if you know anything about football at Notre Dame, Newt Rockne is an icon. If you're not familiar with Newt Rockne, he is one of the great coaches of all time. So Newt Rockne says to Frank, "Well, how are things going?" Frank said, "Well," he said, "I'm a freshman, and I'm not very happy, and I'm thinking really I'm going to pack up and go home." Newt Rockne says to Frank, "Hey," he said, "come over to the football office on Monday. I need some help over there." So Monday, Frank went over to the football office, and Newt gave him some things to do. Well, as it turned out, Newt Rockne began to discover that Frank had an ability to write, and so he began giving Frank responsibility for writing press releases, writing up the story of the games. For 4 years, Frank Wallace traveled with the Notre Dame team. He did all of their press releases. He did all of the write-ups for the games. It was an amazing 4-year span that he had at South Bend. When he finished, upon graduation, he took a job with the AP, Associated Press. He was with the Daily News, the New York Mirror, as a sports writer. And then he began to expand his writing skills, began writing books. He started off by writing books on sports. He wrote books on Notre Dame and Newt Rockne. But then he began to write fiction, nonfiction. He wrote over 20 books. 4 of them were taken and used as for movie scenes. Their books were used as the basis for movies. In 1937, Frank Wallace did something that no one had done before. He initiated something that he called Pigskin Preview. And so, the first week of September, he would pick the 10 top college teams for that fall, for the football season. It captivated people at Saturday Evening Post, at Collier's. He became a sports commentator on CBS, on ABC. Now this was radio, not TV, obviously. When he retired, he went back to Notre Dame, volunteered his services. And when he died, all of his written materials were brought together, and they have a special place at the Notre Dame Library called the Francis Wallace Memorial. So, I say all of this. It's a great story, but what's behind it all, I think, is even more significant. It was a simple invitation from Knute Rockne to this young person he didn't even know. Jump in the car, I'll give you a ride back home. That started a whole career. And all it just says to all of us, we just never know when a word, a gesture, something that we can do will be something that lifts people up, gives them hope, gives them encouragement. Anytime, when we're talking to people, we thank them. We thank the person in the counter, thank the people who are doing the stocking in the stores. When we pick up someone who's done something nice and we offer them a word of praise, congratulate them, whatever it may be, I think the example of Knute Rockne and Frank Wallace just is a great model for all of us. In our most insignificant, what may appear to be us to be very insignificant gestures, they can in fact be something incredibly important. We may not change lives, but we may put a smile on somebody's face, give them a word of hope, a word of encouragement. And that, in a sense, is being God's missionaries on this earth, bringing hope this day. In the midst of all that we're going through right now, in these days of pandemic, election frenzy, the more ways we can encourage and lift up people, I think, we will be a blessing. So, that's the story of this shirt, story of Frank Wallace. Thanks for watching. Blessings, everybody.